Okay, to anybody who's watching, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my next stream. Ninja Warrior Germany. Let me boot up, make sure I got all my stuff here. Good to see you all. I can't see the chat for some reason. My chat hasn't loaded. That is annoying. Because it was working just fine. There we go. There we go. It's over 2 hours. We can only show 30 people, including those that make it past the third obstacle, including established veterans. Shows 35 runs in 8,500 progress, cutting people who can't make it past the first 3 obstacles. I am dead. Yeah. So we got Radium, Topaz. I saw Evan in the chat earlier. There we go. Now the chat's loading. Now we're cooking. Hope everyone's doing well. I did make this a little earlier just because I figured people were probably awake. And also, I'm thinking of going to play futsal in the next 2 hours or so. And I want to make sure I have time for that. So, yeah, futsal. We are going over 2 ninja shows in this stream. Ninja Warrior Germany Season 10 and the first season of Ninja Warrior Germany Kids Academy. Despite what people like Bonzu would say, it is not Ninja Warrior Germany Kids 3. Do not call it that. That's cringe as crap. Oh, nice, on a train. Sick. Where are you headed? Let's see what I got here. I do have the chat pulled up on the side here for the screen share. I'm gonna make sure that the properties of this one are bigger. Maybe I can make the chat potentially bigger. You know what? We'll play with that a little later. Heading back home. Yeah, I mean, that's a bummer, but not everything's going to be amazing. Hopefully the stream makes it a little better. We're going to get right into it. I've got, surprise, surprise, a slideshow. Making sure that I'm centered in the camera here. Believe so. So, we are going to first talk about the main show that all of you guys actually watched or saw clips of or heard about or talked about, Ninja Warrior Germany Season 10. There are some pros here. A lot of pros, actually. I really enjoyed the Stage 1 episode. I also really enjoyed the anniversary round, which, in my opinion, that episode of the anniversary burnout course, air quotes there, is, I think, the best episode of the season. And I don't really think it's particularly close. I think Stage 1 is the second best episode, and I think it's fine. I think it's good. It's just like, I think the burnout stage was so much more entertaining. It was very intense. Kind of the whole season, it really did feel like for the women, it was Lotta versus Nicola, with maybe Victoria Kramer being a surprise. And then the actual surprise was that Victoria Kramer didn't even make it to Stage 1. How would I do on that burnout course? At the moment, I would do terribly because I just am not training endurance like that at all right now. I think if it was me probably in August when I was training for Barbados, I could make it to the second rest stop. Yeah, probably the second rest stop. I think that's my best bet there. Yeah. I think the cast was really good, all things considered. When you remove the big names that just are never coming back or not coming back this time around, like Alexander Worm was a tester. I'm glad he was a part of the season. The Edelmans are retired, so I'm not going to get upset that they're not there for the anniversary. Max Gerner is probably the next biggest name that wasn't there. He had ankle surgery and just couldn't compete, so it's understandable. There are some other names I would have loved to have seen, like a Frank Schmidpeter compete, or Jun Kim or something, but like at the same time, um, you know, it's it's tough. It's still one of those things where I think overall they picked a very strong cast to honor the seasons past. So Jun Kim, oh that's right, Jun Kim did compete. Jun Kim fell off like in season 8, arguably 7, but definitely season 8, to where I genuinely forget that he's there half the time. I would have liked to have seen Frank compete, but he did not compete. Benny Graham's also injured. Yeah, it's a tough one. Healed in time for Sasuke though, so good for him. Bushy's send off. Frank Bushman, the lead host. This was his final season. I never really thought that he was like an amazing host, but he has been around since the very beginning. He's been around for every Ninja Warrior Germany show, the spin-offs and all. And it really does feel like the end of an era with the 10th season hitting and he's gone. They took some time after stage 2 and before stage 3 to give him like a farewell and to give him a gift and everything else. And you know, I'm happy that he had his moment. Yes, there were ninja vets who could have made their return but got rejected, but low key, I think everyone that I personally enjoy watching was there. The fact that Max Prince came back. I know he had been back a little earlier, but like I like Max Prince. I'm glad he was there. Um so oof. Underground station cut him off. And then some of the qualifiers, I liked some of the qualifiers a lot. There were some qualifiers that were slower than others in pacing, or maybe didn't have the greatest results. That is largely due to a specific obstacle that we will talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I thought there were out of the what is it? 7 qualifiers, 7 qualifiers, 8, 9. Yeah, out of the 7 qualifiers, I would say there were 4 or 5 of them that were pretty enjoyable. Yeah, I think that's my overall take. You could argue that 2 to 3, maybe a fourth one, were just kind of mid. But overall, I thought the qualifiers were decent. The meh thing is the semis overall in stage 2. I am all for. We'll start with stage 2. I am all for a stage 2 bloodbath. I enjoy stage 2 bloodbaths. Maybe that's because, you know, when Sasuke was inaccessible for me to watch when I was a kid, I grew up with A&W only sending through like 3 people on stage 2 for like 7 straight seasons. You know? Like A&W 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess 7 had more than that, but still, even then, like not a lot of people made it to stage 3 on A&W. I got pretty used to that. I don't mind. I also don't mind that it was a speed stage and you had to really speed up the invisible ladder. I respect the time limit. It's unfortunate that stage 2 was put in the last episode. And because it killed so many people, it made the rest of the last episode suffer. I think that's the only thing I have a problem with when it comes to stage 2. That's the meh part of it. But objectively speaking, stage 2 was a good course and I really enjoyed it. Now, semis overall is also meh because according to our boy Fabi, sideways in the first semi was really slippery, and that's why we saw so many people slip. Not really slippery, but slippery, which is why we saw so many people drop on that. And it's not always fun seeing people fail the same obstacle over and over. It's especially not fun when it's the second obstacle of the course. That definitely got pretty repetitive, and I didn't love that. I enjoyed the second semis more because the crux point that most people were falling on was either the prism tilt, which was third, or the stair hopper, which was fourth. And yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Also, Cecilia Schmidt being the surprise third female competitor in the final, that was very fun to watch as well. A lot of surprising falls in this season as well. I believe Arthur Schreiber fell in the little Spider-Man man fell in the qualifiers this year. That was very surprising. Um, that's like a big one that stood out to me. So yeah, he was down in qualifiers. That was a shock. Um, yeah. So that's the meh part. I don't think there's anything super wrong about everything, but also like see, you say piss easy corkscrew was ass. I don't know what you want from that exactly. Like, just because it is an obstacle with the same mechanism, it's corkscrew. So corkscrew is corkscrew. If corkscrew is the second obstacle, right? It should not be as hard as it is in A&W, because A&W puts it at the 8 for a reason. They want it to be the back half killer. You can't put back half killer corkscrew as obstacle number 2 and then say go. That's just asking for, like, if it really does depend on the placement of the obstacles for me to determine the difficulty. If corkscrew was 4th out of the 5 obstacles in semis, I'd be like, yeah, not with 100% clear rate. I can understand that. 100% clear rate is very generous. So, all competitors cleared. Yeah, that's fair. It's also just a smaller pool. The laches to each corkscrew is much closer. I got to see, like, A&W 17. I watched that semis in person. I saw corkscrew in person. The gaps across each corkscrew. Let me switch over real quick. So each pool is about 24 feet long. And that means if we were to do salmon ladder, bar, corkscrew, 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 we're looking at maybe 6-foot gaps between the corkscrews, right? That's not difficult for ninjas, but it's the gaps going up. Like the gap up, the height difference when the second corkscrew spins down to get up to the third is so incredibly big and awkward, and by then you're tired. Like, that's why the third one took out so many people in A&W 17. The height gap is big. You don't get a lot of time to catch and pull up and use your lock off to absorb the shock of the spin and everything. You just kind of have to hold on for dear life and pray that you don't but because the pools are smaller in Germany, you can't really play around too much with the height, because closer laches can't be super high or it just becomes a bloodbath. You have to find that balance. And you can't also make them super far because it's a smaller pool, safety reasons. It's a whole thing. So that's where I'm coming from. You have to, like, think about that a lot, I guess, when it comes to course design. It's very interesting. It's a fun balancing act. You're a bit of a consistency freak, so not exactly great seeing prism tilt fails moving while clears don't. I can understand that. At the same time, they are different courses. If they were running the same course, I would agree with you. But because the courses changed, I'm whatever on it, honestly. Because sideways was a much harder obstacle 2 than corkscrew, to where it would make sense that getting past sideways kind of puts you in better contention for stage 1. So, what's up, Casey? Yeah, sideways, it varies by course. Now, if corkscrew or sideways was the same second obstacle for both semis and stuff, then yeah, I would see your argument. But if the courses are different, you can't really compare the two leaderboards, because it becomes apples and oranges, even if there's similar obstacles, even if it's still spider trap at the end and prism tilt in the middle. And what was it? Was it hazard cones? It was hazard cones to start, yeah. Or am I thinking of stage 1? Stage 2 had log runner. Dancing stones was 1. You right. Harazard. Hazard cones was stage 1. That's right. Okay. Good. And then floating steps was qualifiers. So it was floating steps, dancing stones, hazard cones with the little ring again for some reason, and log runner. Okay. Bro, imagine me getting cooked on the first obstacle of stage 2 because I can't log runner. I would assume that I could do it because it's in a straight line and they're closer together. But imagine if I fell on log runner like that. That'd be hilarious. Now, the cons of Ninja Warrior Germany 10 is the entire final episode's editing. This is not something new. This is something that we are now approaching. This is like our third finale that's been like this, where there's just not enough runs in the episode to warrant the runtime. The unfortunate thing is that's something that the network can't entirely control without making the courses easier. You know, they're told your episodes are 3 hours long every season before the season airs, so they know what they have to do to fill it up. Yeah, 7, 8, and now 10. Yeah, because 9's was good. I enjoyed 9's finale, but essentially, you know, there just were not enough runs, and there's not much that they can do to control how much they can put in the episode unless they nerf the courses and make stage 2 a clear fest. But I would rather see stage 2 take people out and mean something than stage 2 just be a freebie like it has been before. I am not a fan of stage 2 around the world, pretty much. Stage 2, I think, was at its peak in early Sasuke. Like, not even pre, I think Shin Sasuke stage 2 was good. So pre-Sasuke Rising, stage 2 actually meant something. You know, it was a speed killer that separated the men from the boys because you had to be fast and strong. And I thought that was great. And then Sasuke Rising kind of changed that, and Sasuke hasn't really changed their stage 2 since. It's been very minute changes. France's stage 2 doesn't have a time limit and is just meant to make you tired before stage 3. Poland had a good stage 2. They were speed based, but now they don't have a stage 2 anymore. A&W, they were doing whole like timed stage 3s pretty much, and now they don't have a stage 2 anymore. Also, they made them race on it. And then other shows were just making stage 2A, which was not very good because the time limit was way too high for them. And like people would just use the 20 seconds standing in front of the buzzer resting so they would have more rest time before the cliffhanger on stage 3. So it's like stage 2 was a dumb formality. And then Australia made their super pumpy because they were taking a page out of A&W's book. I have a very hard time with stage 2 because I think it has potential to be the best stage of any of the 4 stages anytime. If you want a run to go viral, it should probably be a stage 2 because it should be a sprint to the buzzer. That's the way I see it. Poland was also stage 2A, but their stage 2s were still better. I also was very happy to see Kim Marshner back. Oh my gosh, I was rooting for Kim Marshner so hard. I'm just happy he made it past stage 1. So yeah, stage 2 makes me upset because it feels like no one really knows what to do with stage 2. This stage 2, I think, is an exception. I think they did a good job with stage 2. I also think that Kunoichi did a good job with stage 2. But they're the only 2 that are doing good with stage 2 right now. And the unfortunate thing about Germany is that they did stage 2. It took out a bunch of people. Someone didn't even attempt it. It took out 9 others. And only 2 people cleared. You had 15 runs across 3 hours, so you had to stretch it out. It was really unfortunate. It just led to some really bad pacing. The next con that I have is Air Surfer in qualifiers. Air Surfer is a rather straightforward obstacle. It's basically flying bar, but some people will say it's easier because of the ability to like maneuver the board. Some people will say that it's harder because it's a little heavier than the bar on flying bar. I think it's easier to spot your target. The unfortunate thing is they put this really stupid move going up at the very end, right before the dismount platform. And it just was so unnecessary. It really did kill the momentum of anyone who had potential to clear. There were some finishers, but there were more fails on Air Surfer than not. And I don't mind when there's a lot of fails on an obstacle. I mind when an obstacle has multiple moves and parts and everyone's falling in the same spot. And everyone was falling in that same spot. So that got really old really quickly. I was not a fan of that. I didn't enjoy that. And definitely a con. It's so quiet. We clown on A&W. A lot of people clown on A&W for yeah, I agree. Kite Surfer is a Kite Surfer was a much better obstacle for that position. And those qualifiers where they had Kite Surfer, I thought was really a lot better, a lot more well balanced, made the results more entertaining. I've heard a lot of people clown on A&W for putting in the fake applause, and for those of you who didn't know, yeah, it's fake applause. They put the cheer tracks underneath it. Having been there, you know, people are cheering, but it's not nearly as loud as the background noise on the show puts. They insert that later, they edit that in. This and Poland don't include any cheering tracks in the back or any type of music really in the background. And when you put all these big scale things, the big camera angles, the larger obstacles, the whatever else, you know, I mean, it just gets really unfortunate. Like it just gets really stale. It gets really boring. It gets really unsettling. I feel like I'm watching a chess match, and the only courses that should feel like a chess match are stage threes. It should feel like chess there. Um, but yeah, it just they tell the German audience to do offbeat clapping. They start clapping offbeat, and then it becomes, and I'm just like, okay, just stop, please. Just give up on it. White people don't have rhythm. It's okay. Um, yeah, I don't like the lack of sound. They need to put something to fill the sound, whether it's music or a cheer track or something like that. It feels dead. It feels like no one wants to be there except for the hosts and the competitors themselves. And it feels like the audience are just there because they were told they would get like a free t-shirt or something. I don't know. Topaz asked me earlier what I think of stage 3 and stage 4. Well, mainly stage 3. The final stage for one, underwhelming. Philip Gothert made it to the finale, made it to the final stage, failed the salmon ladder. I need them to bring back the spider climb. They need to bring back the spider climb. I hate the salmon ladder rope final. I think it's stupid that it's only 2 obstacles, and of all the 2 obstacles, you decided the first one was going to be failable. If you're going to make an obstacle failable on the final, it should not be the first one. It becomes very underwhelming. It happened last year, but last year we had 3 final stage attempts, so it was a little better. This year with just the one, it led to a very anticlimactic, you know, final run of the season. I last season it was the salmon ladder and rope because of the weather. This season it was just because they felt like it, and I think that's stupid. Um, Very frustrating indeed. Not my favorite final stage attempt, but shout out Philip Gothert for making it there for his second time. I'm very curious now because seemingly Renee has retired. If Philip's going to be the next Ninja Warrior Germany, you know? You've got your Moritz, you've got your Sandro, you've got your Max, who's only getting stronger now that he's healed. Like, it's going to be a genuine fight for the title in season 11, I think. Stage 3 was super underwhelming. Stage 3 made me sad. Just because I really like the salmon ladder flying bar combo. That's the only thing that should have been on stage 3 with the way it was currently set up. It is unfortunate that I looked at a stage 3 of a show and said I would make it to the final obstacle. Because like right now, without having trained ninja regularly for about 2 months now almost, I would make it to the flying bar on that course because everything else was that easy. The nerfing of Kane Lane was my last straw. That was my breaking point. I had a very hard time watching Kane Lane be so ridiculously easy. The jumping spider made me I was so bummed. I was really excited for the concept and it just did not deliver. They put all the stage 3 obstacles on the anniversary round, so they just decided, oh, we're not going to use those again because we already used them once this season. That's unfortunate. Flying bar, I would have definitely failed. Even when I was training, I was not consistent enough at flying bar, and those gaps were big, and there were a lot of moves at once. I probably would fail flying bar. It's funny because I think I would fail this flying bar in Germany, but I think I would beat the Sasuke stage 3 flying bar because it's 2 moves, they're closer together, and I'm more used to flying bars on wires. So yeah. I guess theirs isn't wired anymore. Theirs is not wired. I could still do it though. 2 small moves versus increasingly bigger gaps on Germany stage 3. I think I would I would beat the Japanese one but not the German one. So, I'm not good at flying bar. I need to get better at that. Now, it is time to crown the MVP of this season. I was going through like 2 or 3 different people for this one. I was trying to think it through, and ultimately I landed on one who I thought, I was just consistently rooting for this person, you know? Go ahead and take a guess in the chat who the MVP of Germany 10 is. I will reveal it in a second. Radium, don't just spam names that you know. Make an actual guess. Jonas Moritz, not a bad one. Oleanic. I was so bummed that Oleanic got injured, dude. Oh my gosh. Gotta be Philip. That's fair. There was one runner. I was always looking forward to them competing. Every season when I hear they're competing, I get more and more excited. I can relate to this competitor a lot. And they hit their first buzzer this season. So this season's MVP is our boy Fabi. Fabi, you the GOAT, man. I'm so happy he got his buzzer in qualifiers. He was this close to making it to stage 2. It was so heartbreaking to watch his run. But, this one is a biased pick. It was either going to be him or Kim Marshner. I loved watching Kim Marshner. He really won me over in All-Stars when he won the first season. And then, he kind of didn't show up for a while. So I'm glad he came back. But Fabi getting his best result so far and almost getting stage 2, it's got to be Fabi. So shout out Fabi. Overall, I'm going to give this season a 6.5 out of 10. That's the whole season. The finale, which is just the stages, does have a separate score and a separate ranking. At the end of this month, I'm going to do my 2025 Ninja Show rankings, Ninja Specials rankings, and Ninja Finale rankings. I'm very excited for you guys to see it because no one knows for sure if Renee retired yet, Topaz. But I'm very excited for you guys to see the 3 rankings because I feel like with the specials, it's normally the same types of episodes in the same spots. And right now, the leaderboard is a little different. The first place is pretty much exactly what you guys would think. But also, the rest is gonna surprise people. The shows and the finale rankings, you know, the finales being just the stages or just the final rounds of races to crown the winner or whatever. Um, Typically, the finales and show overall lists are somewhat similar, with maybe three ish swapped, like maybe fifth and sixth are swapped, and then third and fourth are swapped, or something like that. This year, I feel like it's such a different list for all for both the lists. I feel like, let me double check the variance here. I think like the top threes are pretty similar, but it really does start to get mixed. Top threes are not that similar. Some of these are, oh no, there's a lot of variance here. The bottom of the leaderboard, pretty standard. The middle is where it gets interesting. And then the top is also where it kind of gets interesting. I am excited for you guys to see that when you guys do see it. With that said, we're going to jump into the second half, because I know that I'm the only one that watched Ninja Warrior Germany Kids Academy. I know I'm like the only one that watched Kids Academy, except for maybe Radium. Radium probably watched it. Oh gosh, the Super Ninja finalist profiles. Gonna roll my eyes at that one. But no, Kids Academy, for those who don't know, we thought it was gonna be a trial for kids to run stage 1 of Germany 10. It was not. It was its own entirely separate reality TV show for Ninja. Imagine boot camp, but no one gets eliminated. And then antics happen. I want to crash out to this one, so that's exactly what I'm going to do, because it's my stream. So I'm going to rant about how bad this kids show is. It's honestly, let me make this very clear, okay? When I was first watching this show, I thought, okay, it's not your typical ninja show. It's not qualifiers, semis, obstacle courses all the time, right? It's like a reality TV kids docu-series competition type thing. And that's different. That doesn't make it bad. It doesn't even make it bad for Ninja Warrior. I think it's a good way to show the personalities of ninja athletes without mixing it in with the giant bloated fluff pieces that people complain about. I think there definitely is a place for this type of show in Ninja as a franchise. Unfortunately, I also watched the entire season, and it wasn't good for a reality TV kids docu-series competition. It just wasn't. And I'll get into it in just a second. We're going to talk about what was good first, though. The pros. You learned a lot about Ninja Warrior Germany behind the scenes. The last 3 episodes, the kids go to the set of Ninja Warrior Germany. They're on the set for Germany 10. You learn about the pools. You learn about the pyro. You learn about the setup. You learn about, the course design and all that stuff. And that stuff was really interesting. It was very fascinating, and I personally really enjoyed that part. I love understanding different aspects of Ninja, and having that insight and having the kids be like the students in that sense. I thought that was very cool. The kids also had their own profile pieces that were throughout like the first 4 episodes or so. And when you see these kids do obstacles, they are cracked. They are very good for their age. They're all ages like 12 and 13, I believe. And no, they're very strong. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of experience. And I thought overall they picked the right kids for this show. The episodes were also under 30 minutes, which just, it made it so much easier to watch, especially with subtitles when I could understand what they were saying. It was very easy to get through the episodes, even if the episode itself wasn't that enjoyable. The theme song, they have a song now in German that they played in the credits of everything, and it's specifically about being a ninja. And like, it's kind of stuck in my head. I kind of want to learn it. I don't know. I kind of want to put it on Spotify, and like, I'm not even kidding. It's not a bad song. And then the kids definitely looked like they had a lot of fun. They were, doing this whole event took over the course of like a week for them, and you can tell that it's just an experience that they're never going to forget. Obviously, when you're doing a kids show, you want the kids to be safe, you want them to be happy, you want them to be comfortable, and I think this show succeeded in that, as long as there's no scandals that come out about it later on. So kudos to them. I don't really have anything that I would say is meh about this show. I feel like things were either really good in the show or really bad, and not really in between. So with that said, let's jump right into the cons. Half of the format was meaningless, and half of the cast was meaningless. I'm going to walk you through exactly what the format of this season was to explain to you guys exactly what I mean. There were there were 7 episodes at camp, and they set up a little campsite for the kids to sleep in, and they did challenges outdoors around the camp. There was like a beach on the camp, there's a field and whatever else. We'll talk about the challenges in a second. The kids, there were 12 of them, were split into 2 teams of 6. They were red team and blue team. They did challenges against each other. Whichever team won the challenge would get a star, like a gold star, like we're in elementary school. And then the coaches would pick 1 boy and 1 girl on each team to get their own individual gold stars for a good performance that day. And that was how all of the episodes ended. It was for giving out the stars. Which team won the challenge, you get a star. Which kids get the individual stars, here you go, here you go. And I was like, okay, but what did they mean? They were keeping that a mystery all season. The team that had the most gold stars, so the team that won the most challenges, went on to get a 10-second time advantage in the finale. Not a bad bonus to give the team that did the most challenge wins and everything, right? The finale, however, again, we're in 2 teams of 6. The finale consisted of these teams of 6 selecting 1 boy and 1 girl only. So 2 people on red team, 2 people on blue team, to run qualifier 5 of Ninja Warrior Germany. And that meant that 8 of the 12 kids did not get to run the course legit. They all got to practice on the course and play around on the obstacles, which helped them determine who was going to run the qualifier. So, like, it's not like they didn't get to try the course, right? But they didn't get to run it. Only 4 kids got the experience with the audience and the hosts and the fire and the pool, like all of that, and I think that's really dumb, because over half the cast had to sit down. 3/4, am I doing the math right? 2/3 of the cast had to sit down. And that's stupid. That's really dumb, honestly, genuinely. And if it weren't for something that I'll mention later, I would think it's kind of a waste of their time to be there. So then, because I know you guys aren't going to watch it, the girls run, and one of the red team's girl beats the blue team's girl. So the red team gets a point. The 2 boys on red and blue team, they make it to the warped wall. They miss it just because they're short. They hit another growth spurt, they're getting that wall. They're really good. And the boy who was on the blue team made it there faster, so he got the point. So it was 1 point blue team, 1 point red team. We're tied. How do you break a tie with 2 things? It's not best 2 out of 3. They said whoever had the best individual performance, which was the boy on blue team. So that kid literally just won it for the whole team. 4 members of the team sat on the sidelines and watched. The other one fell halfway through the course. And they all won. I was just like, that's dumb. That was dumb. And then they say, oh, look, we got one more thing for you guys, okay? They were like, what about your individual gold stars that you guys were given throughout the camp, right? And I was like, yeah, what were those for? Because you just kept giving out gold stars and they meant nothing. Well, the host brings out a salmon ladder flying bar, right? And it's a really nice bar. I'll give them that. It's like show level, industrial made. It's a very high quality bar. And they said, you're going to get a bar with the Ninja Warrior Germany logo, your name, and the amount of gold stars you got. And it's going to be put on the bar as like a souvenir, or you can use it, whatever you want. It's yours. That's a really cool gift. I don't give a crap about the individual gold stars anymore. You made them worth nothing. You know what I'm saying? That was stupid. I was like, what an anticlimactic reveal. That was a waste. That was really dumb. Like yeah. And that's when it starts to get me at like it's not even good at the type of show it's trying to be. The docuseries competition whatever. It was mediocre at best because you hyped up these mysteries and you brought in special guests like Renee and Nicola who came in for a challenge and like just for it to mean here's a present you got. Oh, by the way, 8 of you just sit there and watch and cheer for your friends. What are we doing here? Stupid. Anyways, the last 2 cons kind of go ahead. I said who won was determined by dumbness. The last 2 cons, it wasted the kids' talents because the challenges sucked. These 2 things right here, paddleboarding and wave surfing, like indoor surfing, were literally freaking challenges. Actually, no, rephrase. The stand-up paddle relay was a challenge for a team gold star. They did an entire episode on indoor surfing and it wasn't an actual challenge. They gave individual gold stars, but there was no team gold stars for the time advantage or anything. This entire episode meant pretty much nothing. They did an entire surfing episode for it to mean absolutely nothing to the overall competition. So that's a filler episode. Episode 8, they went on set, and that's when you learn the fun facts about the show, and that's when the kids practiced the obstacles, but there was no real competition, so that felt like filler. Episode 9 also was a bunch of filler because of the 4 kids that were chosen to run the course, only one of them actually was shown in that episode. So that was just a bunch of filler. And then the last episode, the other 3 kids ran and then they crowned the winner. So yeah, it was dumb. That's 3 episodes of filler out of 10 total. Other challenges for Ninja Warrior, you know, with the warped walls and the cliffhangers and the salmon ladder and the rolling hill and the quad steps and the jumping spider and Cane Lane and Cannonball Alley and all that other stuff, included a race back and forth on a slack line to see who can do the most slack line laps in 3 minutes, a ropes course, an inflatable water obstacle course bouncy house, and then they did have an actual ninja course for the kids to relay race on, but it was a little underwhelming because they let the kids practice on it for like literally 3 hours. So they all knew what they were doing and it just went by really quickly as a result. This show was goofy and a joke, and who could make it faster on a ropes course, guys? Oh, wow. I guess you're ready to hit the mega wall. Like, what are we doing? What is the plot? There isn't a plot. 3 of the episodes were filler. Oh, yeah. No, it was so bad. Anyways, the MVP, because there is still an MVP of the show. Now, there were a lot of coaches. There were 4 coaches. Maury Tons, Ada Theokin, Melly Schmidt, and Lucas Holman. We also had all of the hosts show up at some point, as well as the host who I'm not even remembering the name of, but she did good of the actual kids show that was at camp with them. The kids themselves were very talented ninjas. I will constantly say that. They are all very skilled. So we do have an MVP. And it's not obvious. I'm not going to have you guys guess. It is Frank Bushman, the host that retired. This man shows up in the last 2 episodes. Frank and Jan, you know, as the hosts. They show up and they talk to the kids in episode 9, the second to last episode. This is part of the filler, okay? But it was good filler for me because I have been complaining the whole time. you know, these guys can skip 2 rungs on the salmon ladder like nothing, and link laches and all this other stuff, and you're making them run through obstacle bouncy houses, right? Like, that's not ninja. That's such a waste of their skills. Frank Bushman tells them personally, every season we give one boy and one girl a lifetime pass to Ninja Warrior Germany, where once you get this invite, it is valid for any seasons of Ninja Warrior Germany as long as it is on air. And they give it to the competitors on the main show. They don't really advertise it, but people do have it. So, if they've been doing this since season 1, that means there are now 20 people with lifetime passes. Frank Bushman then says, I am going to give all 12 of you kids a lifetime pass. So when you turn 16 and season 14 of this show comes out, you guys can start competing. And you guys can compete however long you want, whenever you want. Best gift ever for those kids. And it genuinely made the waste of their skills and talents so much more worth it. And it made the whole thing of them kind of being in filler worth it. Because now I genuinely, again, these kids are good. I am genuinely looking forward to when they are old enough to compete on the main show. 2 of them, one of them, mind you, the kid that won for all of Blue Team, right? He made it to the Warped Wall. He missed all 3 attempts. He's not even 5 feet tall. I don't even think he's 4'10". He's 12 years old. And I don't even think he's 4'10". He might be 4'10". He's definitely not even 5 feet tall. And he literally got his fingertips under the Warped Wall ledge. The other kid, who's a little bit taller than him, grabbed the top of the ledge of the wall with a hand and slipped off on his last attempt. He was that close. I want those 2 on the show. When they are 16, they are going to be animals. The girls almost cleared the course as well. I want to see them on the show. I want to see all of them on the show. The 8 kids that didn't get to run, that were kind of robbed of a chance to run under the bright lights, they get their chance to do that in the future. It was such a relief. I am very happy for them. And genuinely, it was the highlight of the whole show that they all got the lifetime pass. You could see that it just meant the world to the kids. And yeah, MVP, Frank Bushman. So, and then Frank got a lifetime pass in the finale of Germany 10 as well. So we could see him show up if he wants. But the age limit is 16. They were not 12 and 13 years old. All of the competitors were either 11 or 12 years old. So that means as early as season 13, depending on how early some of these kids' birthdays are, we could see a couple of them come in. By the time season 15 hits, all 12 kids from this show will be eligible to compete. And I think that's really special. Yeah, that's what they gave him. The paper, the fake, phone check thing, whatever. It was a lifetime pass. So, yeah. Really, really good stuff. Really, really exciting stuff. I appreciated that especially. Overall, though, this is a 1.5 out of 10. Oh, man. Yeah, no, this wasn't good. Overall, the show was not good. I can't defend it. Excuse me. The 3 moments that actually happened that were good are why this is a 1.5. So 1.5 is probably the highest it'll go. Might be the lowest score I've given in recent memory. Possibly. I'm going to switch out of this so I can see what score I gave, or what ranking I gave it. Yeah. You guys are going to be very surprised by the list of rankings this year. Still better than Super Ninja Kids 1 because kids weren't traumatized. Yeah, I mean, some tears were shed, but it was just emotions were running high. Pressure can get to kids. But it wasn't like Super Ninja Kids, that's for sure. So currently on my list of rankings for 2025, the shows that we have, trying to go in release order. Kunoichi 12 came out first this year. Poland 10. Super Ninja Kids 2. Then in summer, we got France 9 and ANW 17. The Sasuke Junior Cup came out earlier this year. That's on the list. Taiwan Power King, Poland 11, Germany 10, and Kunoichi 13. And what am I missing? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Poland 11. Did I not mention Poland 11? But either way, there's like 11 shows currently ranked. What's up, Kareem? Still waiting to rank officially. Flying Hero, China's junior show, Super Ninja 4, and Sasuke 43. Those are the last ones on the list. I currently have the 11 ranked. First place for the shows and the finales is the same. Second place is different. Third place is different. Fourth place is different. Fifth place is different. Sixth place is different. Seventh place is different. Wait, is seventh place actually different? Yeah, seventh is different. Eighth place is different. Ninth is different. 10th is different. Last place, 11th place, is the same. So, bit of a stacked year for Ninja this year. Yeah, I try not to think of it that way because there's still not a lot of countries doing Ninja. It's the same amount of countries. It was USA, Japan, Germany, France, Russia, Poland. And that's what it was last year as well. And, you know, you throw in Taiwan, but Taiwan's not licensed, so it's like it half counts. But I still appreciate Taiwan. Poland gave us 2 things. Japan gave us 2 Kunoichis and Sasuke. So, like, and the Junior Cup. So, like, it's stacked in the sense that, yes, there's a high quantity. I would like to see more countries pop up with their shows. Personally, that's me. Yeah. I can't really consider it stacked when we had the 2016 to 2019, 2020 era where there were at minimum 8 countries dropping ninja shows, you know? Last year we didn't have France because of the Olympics, but we did have Iran. We had Garimon. So, yeah. Yeah. I think first place is going to be... I think first place might surprise you guys depending on how Sasuke 43's editing turns out and how that looks and everything. Realistically, I don't think anything's going to dethrone first place except for maybe Sasuke 43. Just because Flying Hero is fine, but it's not number 1 worthy. And Super Ninja this season is not number 1 worthy. There was a time where Super Ninja, you know, could have threatened it, but like I think Super Ninja 2 is still probably the best season. And I put that one pretty high when I ranked it in 2023. But Super Ninja 4 is not at that level. I don't, unless the finals are like really good, I don't know if I'll put it. I'm definitely not going to put it number 1 unless I see like the most elite pieces of ninja content ever in the next month. On the list of specials is, trying to go in order here, Hanzo, a behind-the-scenes episode of Super Ninja Kids 2, the ANW Women's Championship. Taiwan Power King did an all-star special. Sasuke's Black Tiger Trials, Regular Trials, Koshin, and Idol Trials. And then potentially the Super Ninja 4 behind the scenes. Maybe the finalist episode if it's not combined with the regular season. And then the Sasuke International Tournament, which, I mean, it's the Sasuke International Tournament. It's probably going to be number 1 for me because that's just kind of exactly the type of stuff I enjoy. I don't know how else to describe it. Some predictions from Radium and Topaz. Radium says Kunoichi or ANW. Topaz says A&W. Curious as to which Kunoichi you think it is. I really liked both Kunoichis. I really did like both Kunoichis this year. And I am very excited for Kunoichi 14. I think actually, like, if I had to rank the seasons for next year that I'm most excited to watch, it is probably Kunoichi 14 at number 1. I'm the most excited for that. Just because there's more of a story for Kunoichi right now. There is a good story for Sasuke. I'm not going to... I mean, I'm coming out off of 42. Sasuke 43 has a good story. I'm curious as to how the story continues in 44 based off of the results that I know. Curious, I think kind of up there out of curiosity is Poland 12, just because of all the controversy behind Poland 12. And also, I don't know the results. I don't know completely which internationals get to compete again. So, like, that part's intriguing to me. France 10 is up there because it's the 10th anniversary. Germany has a lot of people that could win. So, I'm curious about that one. Like, I don't know. I think if I had to pick, like, a most excited one, it's either France 10 or Kunoichi 14. Yeah. Yeah. The story for Kunoichi is, you know, people are actually going to step up now. We now have seen what the field of Kunoichi competitors can do with practice, with time to train, knowing what the course is. You know, the only person that really had a shot at making the final in 12 was Ayano, because she was the only one that was really training ninja hard. I mean, Mai was too, but not nearly as hard. But you can tell that, like, Kunoichi being specifically made for women motivated the women to train more. The idols trained more. Like, that's crazy. And there were some good performances in 13 as a result. I think a lot of the people who timed up on stage 2 are not going to time up on stage 2 again. I think they're going to train harder, and I think we're going to see them on stage 3. Not all of them, but a good deal of them. And then, of course, we have 2 finalists now that fell on the same obstacle of the final. Who's going to figure out the salmon ladder first? That's going to be a fun one to figure out. Germany is interesting because you've had a revolving door of stars make it to the final, get last man standing, get whatever, to where it really just is going to come down to who's the most locked in. You know, whoever the most locked in is going to be the next Ninja Warrior Germany. And then France, I'm very excited for. If they continue to go the international route, that'd be great. I think it's going to be... I think we're going to see a lot of finalists in France, which is underwhelming. But I think it's going to be super difficult to beat Renee's time that he set in 9. So I'm excited to see if anyone is even up to the challenge, or how much production is going to mess with the rope to get someone to beat Renee's time. Yeah. I'm excited about France in that regard. I'm excited about Poland because they just got humbled. Their best athlete in Poland got 4th place, and that's not bad. That's very respectable for Jan, but he didn't podium. He didn't make it to the final, you know? So I think that's something that I want to see the aftermath of. That's something I'm very curious about. I'm curious about A&W 18 because of the expectations of racing. The course layouts for the brackets and the group stage, they're the same. So, now that people know what to expect, how is their training adjusted and adapted? And how is that going to change the results? I know the entire bracket's results, so I'm not going to say anything about it, but it is a little bit different. It is a little bit different. Yeah. So, yeah. They did promote France 9 as the 10th anniversary, but they were wrong. Clash of Nations is not a full season. It's a special. So Riko Iwamoto would be good to watch for 14 if that does happen. Sasuke definitely has stories coming into 43. Obviously, the first person to beat a new stage 3 obstacle was not Yusuke Morimoto for the first time in a while. It's kind of crazy. I don't really consider Tada and Renee the first to beat the dimension in 37 because it was not operational. So like I consider Yusuke to be amongst the first. He was the only one to beat the dimension in 38. So like yeah. Yeah. This is the first time that someone has made the final solo and it wasn't Yusuke in a long time. So seeing how things play out in 43 is going to be very interesting, especially with some course change-ups. And should there be a Kanzen in 43, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the field and with the course. And should there not be a Kanzen in 43, I am excited to see how people are going to continue to train and evolve for their shot at the title. If Miyaoka beats the Burst again, he's a high contender for the next Kanzen. He just has to lock in on everything. Yeah, I completely agree. I'm very, very curious. Well, guys, I think I'm going to go play some futsal. I think I've run out of talking points, and if you guys want to ask anything, feel free to jump in and ask something in the chat. If not, I'm going to hop off. Can't wait to meet you. Join the animatronic family. Yeah, he did plan on doing more this tournament, but scaled back. Some of the reasons he said it was like some of these things were scaled back was partially due to weather, which stop filming it in the rain. Film it in a different month then. Don't do it in October. And then other things I think TBS probably just said no to, which also wouldn't surprise me. How would Prime me do on this season's grand finals? I'll go show for show. I think I beat Germany stage 1 and I time up on the invisible ladder on stage 2 in my prime. I don't think I get very high on the invisible ladder. I think I get a little over halfway up. Because if people stronger than me are timing up at the top of it, I'm not getting to the top of it. I'm Kanzen in Kunoichi, but that just sounds rude and sexist. So, France, shoot. I need to look at the France courses again. I am probably making the top 16 in Poland. I think I make the top 8 or 4. Or technically, you know, I think I make that round with the top 10 where you have to get the 2 fastest overall times in the top 10. I think I make that in season 10. And then in season 11, I maybe make the top 16. Or whatever it is. The one before the top 10. Yeah. I think I said it on the Ninja Masters. Like, if Frank Schmidpeter can make it that far, I am faster than Frank Schmidpeter. I'm not going to necessarily say I'm stronger. He's got me beating grip and stuff. But when it comes to speed, I do have him beat. Because every time I've done a speed course with him, I have beaten him. Whether it was stage 1 at Worlds or the international level up course or whatever else, I've beaten him. Okay, Francis stage 1. Tackle, Razor's Edge, Big Dipper to the flywheel, Clear Climb, Jawbreakers, Warped Wall, Swing Surfer. No time limit. You had to get the top, what was it, 12 or something like that? Top 8? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, top 14. But they took women separately, so no, it was... Yeah. They took women separately. Anyway, stage 2. Oh yeah, they did top 12 men, top 4 women. So yeah. I mean what's the slowest clear time? 4 minute that's Moran, that's not someone I would be seated against. The slowest male performance was looking through Sasukepedia was Charlie Francois Rid. And that time was 3 minutes 4 seconds. I absolutely believe I could do that stage 1 in under 3 minutes. I would take a little bit of time on the jawbreakers. That's not something I'm totally confident in, but I do know that I am capable of doing them. So, like, I know I could beat it. But, like, the way people take a stupidly long break before the warped wall and the swing surfer, when that's literally the ending, that made me mad. I would not do that. I would sprint. I would also sprint up to the clear climb. Like, I would be quick because they're fast obstacles. Like, yeah. No, I would definitely make it in the top 12. Stage 2 was Slide Surfer, Double Down, the Cubes, the Wing Nuts, and the Chimney Climb. And Spider Climb. The Cubes might get me just from a pure endurance thing, but also I like hanging off my fingertips. Like I enjoy that. I'm good at that. So cubes would be the only thing that I think would get me because I could clear everything else. Double Down, I could handle. Wing Nuts, I could definitely handle. Slide Surfer is chill. Chimney Climb, also very chill. Spider Climb. So I think I could genuinely make stage 3. The ultimate cliffhanger or the flying bar would take me out. I don't think the ultimate cliffhanger would take me out. It's very condensed and close together, the 180, and the big grabs up, it's fine. Over unders, whatever, stalactites or whatever, the flying bar might get me. I do know Pizza Party was supposed to be there. Yeah. I remember seeing that. And then I would not even, if I were to somehow make the final, if Flying Bar didn't murk me, I don't think I would make it 3/4 of the way up that rope. I would have one of the most laughably bad. I have good rope technique. I just don't have the stamina for that, you know, at all. So I haven't trained it at all. Which internationals in France do you think I could beat? Like in a race? I've thought very long about how I would do on Super Ninja Radium. I'm failing the floating safe. I think. Well, I don't know. I'm either. No, I could beat floating safe. I could beat floating safe. If I were to fail floating safe, I would fail the swing up to the top of the barrels. But if I were to get up top, everything else is easy for me. And then I would probably fail the skyhook on Mad Hatter just because if all these guys are failing it and only 2 people have beaten it, like, well, I haven't watched episode 6 yet, but yeah. Which internationals in France 9? Let's go through all of the, because I'm, let's see, semifinal 1. Who do they face? Marvin Mitterhuber. No, Marvin would probably beat me. Yeah. Marvin would probably beat me. I would beat Tomo in a race. Corbin Mackin surprised me. That one I think is a toss-up. That is a toss-up. I'm losing to Kevin Carbone. I'm not losing to Ayano. So, Mikel Silvestri, my boy from Italy, I'm beating him. I think... No, not I think. Yuji failed the course. Anyone who failed, not anyone who failed the course, but a good amount of people who failed the course, I could beat. And UG is among those. I think I could beat UG in a race on this course. Robert Bandos is another one that's kind of hit or miss. He's very fast. He's very talented. Sometimes he gets careless and reckless and takes extra swings. But I also take extra swings. So I think ultimately, if we were to race like best 2 out of 3, he would beat me 2-1. You know what I'm saying? More often than not, I'd lose to him. Lucas Killian had the biggest choke in those semis. That was crazy. Realistically, I lose to him. But if he chokes, then I beat him. Victoria Kramer, I beat. She's just not the fastest in the world. Lauren Ball. Lauren Ball couldn't do the clacker. I know I can do the clacker. So I'm going to say I beat him. Prime Lauren Ball might be a different story. I am absolutely losing to Ashlyn Herbert and Max Gerner. And I'm losing to Joel Matley. I'm beating Beth Lodge. Eric Lopez is a bit of a wild card to me. He's good. I think I could beat him, but I think that would be another very close race. Yoshiyuki is also another 50-50. He was fast in that course. He did really well. So that's another one where I think, you know, it really just depends on who's more focused at the time. I could absolutely see a world where he beats me. I could also see a world where I beat him. Henry Cookie, very strong, powerful athlete, not the highest ninja IQ when it comes to efficiency. I think I could beat him. Renee Cassidy, he beats me. Amy Hales, I beat her. And that's all of the internationals. So, anyways, y'all. I'm trying to think of what other finals courses. Taiwan Power King, I think I would podium. That course looks like a lot of fun. And it was really enjoyable. And I think I would do really well in that, actually. I want to be on season 2 of that, genuinely. And I'm making the effort for it. Yeah. Yeah. And then A&W, we all know how I did on A&W, so... It's very interesting to me that they made a race with 0 lower body or agility obstacles. Like, A&W 17's races just did not have agility obstacles. They just had the shrinking steps, and that was it. Which I think is crazy. I think we're gonna call it a day. I'm gonna maybe play futsal. Yeah, Cam De Silva would have been nice to see. No, it didn't change in A&W 18. I'm just letting you know that right now. It did not change in A&W 18. Yeah, the format for 18 is very much the same. In terms of course layouts, it's pretty dang similar. Except now they have the 3-lane racing instead of the 10 obstacle semis. So awesome. See you later, Topaz. I'm actually going to wrap stream up so I can go play some futsal. I appreciate you guys for watching this late into the night for you guys. Take care. Tomorrow, MC Sasuke and a workout stream. So, hope to see you guys there.